Josh, what's up, man?
What's happening?
Just so I know, am I the first puppet to get to talk to you?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. I won't be here for the whole thing. The big guy, Jeremy, will be here in just a second. But I like to warm everybody up, get that big smile going,
Yeah,
and make sure everybody knows that,
it works.
bare-knuckle fighters may be the scariest guys on the planet, but deep down inside, they like to have some fun.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Jeremy, get in here. Trying to do your job, bud. All right, Mark. Damn. He's always yelling at me, man. Because you don't do your job. Usually I'm late. That's my thing, man. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So today's your Friday, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I do a double back. I sleep about 5 hours and I get up in the morning and I work in the morning and I'm done. Actually, no, I'm not done. When we're done with this, I have to still do my liquor orders.
So I guess you're not done.
I'm not
Still got
done, but
work ahead of you.
But there's no one really watching me, so I'm still on the clock.
Perfect. That's what
Right.
I like to hear.
Yeah.
I would be not being fully honest if I ever said I didn't do anything podcast related while I was supposed to be doing what my 9 to 5 is. But hey, you gotta have that 9 to 5 to support the side hustle.
Right, exactly. 9 to 5 doesn't pay all the bills.
Right? I think social media, YouTube, and everyone who's a guru of the side hustle, they get everybody all twisted up. People think, oh, I should quit my day job and just go and try and do my side hustle. Bullshit. Your day job funds your side hustle. That's the thing you have fun with.
On the same note, people are like, "Oh, so that's your career, bare knuckle boxing?" I'm like, "No, that's a hobby. I'm a bartender. That pays my bills. The fighting part is just fun."
Yeah, I did MMA for a while. I haven't been in an MMA gym. 11 years. Wow. Probably.
Okay.
So I got started early 2000s, and people ask, "Oh, is there a lot of money in that?" Before people were making a lot of real money. They're like 4 guys making real money, and I'm like, shit, no. Every fight has cost me money.
Right.
I have come out net negative every time.
My first pro fight was 150 to show, 150 to win. Medicals cost only $300.
Yeah.
It
was great. Early 2000s. I'm in Ohio, so whenever things got started here, it wasn't really sanctioned. So we didn't have someone with a cage and 3 letters to rub together started an MMA promotion.
Right.
We'll call it amateur.
Right. No, I was out on those. I was on the first amateur card on the East Coast back in 2007.
Nice.
Before then, it was just you want to fight, you're a pro, you get paid. Well, it is what it is.
You got pay to play. Man, that's how it was.
I was looking at the same thing. Right. Yeah.
I remember when we started sanctioning things in Ohio, and they were doing, the official amateur MMA, and these promoters are like, "Oh, you come drive here and fight for us," and blah blah blah. You guys gonna cover anything? Oh, we're not allowed to cover anything anymore. They're giving money. You can sell tickets for us. So you want me to put in some work and get punched in the face, and you're not going to give me anything?
Right. No, it makes no sense. Like there is value in people doing the amateur work, but there's also you don't want to stay there too long. You have people that have 10 amateur fights. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're missing work. You're getting injured. You're putting your life on the line for no pay. As I'm sure you might know, I'm from Maine. One of the cool things out there that they do is you're required to have 3 amateur fights before you can turn pro. But that's if you're fighting only in Maine. You could easily go to another state, turn pro, then come back to Maine with only with no amateurs or 1 amateur fight and be a pro. But if you're fighting solely in Maine, they require you to have 3 amateur fights, which, I don't hate it because everybody, jumping into the game super young, they have the time to build on it. I started training when I was 24. Even still, I feel that was way too late because by the time I peaked, I was already on that getting old part.
Father time happens to all of us, brother. We're the same age, right? I'm 41. You're 41. We're the same age.
41. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my thing with amateur MMA, and this was something I went back and forth with the Ohio State Athletic Commission, many moons ago. I didn't feel as though promoters should be the ones putting together amateur MMA. I thought, if you're at a good gym, the Athletic Commission should have some sort of a sanctioning body over a good gym. The gym can hold amateur fights, but let's not promote it. Let's not treat it like it's the UFC, sell tickets, someone makes a shitload of money and doesn't pay these guys anything. Let them have a Friday night fights at their gym. Put a little bit of money in the gym's pocket.
So do more like what you're saying, like a smoker.
Yeah. Yeah, just sanction smokers and let the
get that,
gyms make a little bit of money.
I think what it does though is it gets people trained on the aspect of when you're an amateur, you're only going to make money selling tickets. So already you're working for the promoters and they like it. Second of all, you make money off of sponsorships. If you're killing it on sponsors, everybody likes you, everybody likes your brand, and you're making money off of it, you just carry that over into the pro. The difference between an amateur fighter and a pro fighter is just eyes on you, at the beginning of the show, there's not very many people there, and as the night goes on, more people show up. But other than that, though, if you start off and you're promised money, some sort, and I don't think that the people will get hungry enough to go out there and try to get their sponsorships. Starting off fresh, being a nobody, you're like, fuck, I need to get some money. It's let me throw your sticker on my shorts for $100, please. So it kind of, I think it works on both. What is that? Double-edged sword kind of shit. Pay them because they are fighting, they're putting their life on the line, and also usually losing work and all that shit. And definitely, everybody loses work training. But on the flip side of it, it's they learn the hustle.
Yeah. And, I think that was something when I was fighting. I was terrible at the hustle.
Okay.
I get so many. You get no's. It's you know what, man? I can pay for the trip myself. I'll just pay for my own travel. I'll go do the thing. But I was at a different stage of my life. Guys I was around, they were same age, but I got started with a family early. I was 15 when my daughter was born. I got married at 18.
Okay.
Bought my house at 22. So I didn't think I was going to live past 25. So
bills. You already had bills.
Yeah. So I was, just trying to do something, and I don't know. I think I got frustrated with the hustle standpoint. I just want to go out there and fight.
Yeah. I mean, that, and realistically speaking, that's where a manager steps in, where they hustle for you, and you just handle the working part of it. You go out there and you fight. Your manager makes you your money, and you just try to, reciprocate or do what you can for them. My thing I've always usually will tell my managers, look, if I pull my own sponsor, if it's my friends, high school friends, people that have sponsored me for years, I'm you're not getting a cut from that. But if you pull me a sponsor, I'm I'll give you 20, 25%. I'll give you more because the typical is 10%. That's the usual.
Yeah.
I'll give you way more because that means you're going to work harder to make me money, to make yourself money. But if I'm just sitting here and because I've fought for the last 17 fucking years, I know people. And I have a huge group of amazing friends and amazing supporters. You know, like they always throw in on me. Like, you know, my first bare-knuckle fight, every single sponsor I had were people that I grew up with and were friends with, went to high school with, all friends from back home, used to work for. And realistically speaking, I think all but one sponsor was, you know, back in Maine versus me living out here in Vegas. You know,
Man,
I have a huge following on
that's
Maine.
dope. That is awesome that you still got all those day oneers, as I like to call them.
All of them. Like, you know, that's why I'd love to fight back east. You know, like it's gotten legalized or sanctioned in, I think, Vermont, definitely in New Hampshire. They've had an event in New Hampshire. It's been back and forth on Massachusetts, and last year they were talking about it being sanctioned in Connecticut to throw it at one of the casinos. But I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. I don't know where that shit's going. I just know that I just put it this way. I just know I had a fight. I was living in Las Vegas. I had a fight at the Expo in Portland, Maine, and I sold. Granted, my manager sold, but we sold a total of $17,000 worth of tickets.
Shit.
And I mean, that was the same card. We had Marcus Davis on it. The promoter gave Marcus one side of the front row. I got the other three sides. And about 3 weeks before, 3 weeks before the event, he hit up the promoter. Was like, "Hey, could I get some more front row tickets?" He's like, "Josh has them all." He's like, "Oh, can you contact him and get some?" He goes, "No, he's already sold them and turned in the money." Like, yeah, like we legit sold $17,000 worth of tickets. You know, so going back to what you're saying about amateurs and tickets, I'm like, I don't mind tickets. Like that's why I wanted to get sanctioned in Vegas. That's why I wanted to get sanctioned someplace in New England so I can go there and sell the fuck out. Because, you know, no one's ever going to be happy with their fight purse. You know, I want more money. So give me an opportunity to earn, and I'm going to earn.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of the beast, right? We're never happy with what our guaranteed money is. We want to know where we can bring in some more cash.
Well, I mean, our guaranteed money that we are is always lowballed anyways.
Yeah.
I want this. I'll give you this. All right, let's go here. Nah, let's meet here. All right, fuck it. I want to fight.
Yeah.
You know, that's always it. That's always it. You know, like you never get away from that. You know.
Yeah, man. Being able to sell that much money worth of tickets, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, like that's kind of, like, and I've always had a great following, you know, like I always say, like my fans and friends and everything back in Maine, they push me. They are such amazing supporters of me. They push me, and you know, it's almost grown to the point of like you do it for not namesake, but like reputation sake, in the sense of, you know, like everybody has known that you've done this forever, and everybody looks up to you, and everybody wants you to do this. And you know, I get messages daily. When's your next fight? When's your next fight? When are you fighting again? When are you fighting again? And I'm like, I don't know, because everybody wants to see me fight, and you know, I appreciate the fuck out of that, and I wish I had more of an answer, and I don't. So you know, it is what it is. But
yeah, that was a big looming question for me for you tonight was, when's that next fight? What are you looking? You got anything?
You know,
close?
I fuck fine now. I think right now there is this like limbo phase. I know that BKFC went to Nevada Commission to get it sanctioned out here in Vegas. To my understanding, they have to dot a few I's, cross a few T's. They just have to like do a few things. Those few things, I have no fucking idea what they are. But granted, I think 2 or 3 days later, everybody saw Dave Feldman, you know, photographed with Dana. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe like, you know, grease Dana a little bit, because Dana, we all know, is the one who's not wanting Bare-Knuckle to come, you know, not to get big, because Bare-Knuckle is far more exciting than UFC is. Granted, UFC, you know, it's its thing, but like us fucking, I don't even know. You know, it's that new age thing. Everybody has ADD. Everybody's ready for the next big thing. Everybody wants fucking excitement now. You know, you have a UFC fight and you have two grapplers and they're grappling out. You have people booing in the crowd. You know, everybody wants to see that fucking 1 minute knockout, that brawl, the blood. They want to see it. And, you know, Dana's no fool. He knows that. So, you know, I'm not necessarily saying like he's blocking it, but like he's in the way. So maybe that was one of the things that had to be crossed out. But either way, you know, 2 months ago, I think it got sanctioned in California.
KnuckleMania 4 is going to LA.
Exactly. So the only way I can justifiably not be on that card is if they know that it's going to get sanctioned in Vegas in the next month or so. I will understand being pushed to the side to be on a Vegas card since I live here in Vegas. Like, they want to sell tickets. But if Vegas or Nevada is not in their future or in their immediate future, they don't have anybody on the West Coast. The farthest west they've had fights is Salt Lake City. And, you know, and they tend to pull a little bit of people that are local. And sure, California has a fuck ton of fighters. But, you know, they haven't done a California tryout session. They haven't done anything like that. So it makes perfect sense for, you know, they're already hyping it to be the biggest card. You know, every big card's the next biggest card they've ever had. So, you know, I want to say there's only 3 fighters from Las Vegas that are contracted to BKFC. You know, obviously,
No, there's not a lot.
I mean, Christine, you know, like title fight, like that makes total sense. Good timeline for her to fight again at the end of April to defend her title against who the fuck knows, because there's nobody.
I wish it was Cyborg.
Granted, it could be Cyborg. I mean, there is that, and I mean, and there's that hype, and we're talking KnuckleMania, biggest card. So I mean, that could be. You know, I don't have those ins on that. You know, me and Christine are great friends, but she doesn't tell me a shit like that. But you know, other than that, though, there's nobody on the West Coast. So if Vegas isn't in the near future, I should be on this card in April. And you know, realistically speaking, BKFC isn't great on giving people tons of head time, like lead time before fights. I mean, if you get told 6 weeks out, you're lucky. You're super fucking lucky. Granted, I think I was a replacement, but I found out like 4.5 weeks out on Greg Hardy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize it was that close for you.
Oh, completely. And I came off the couch.
You slept Greg Hardy coming off the couch?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm sorry, kind of like speaking of what you were saying, like, you know, I work. I have my kid. I have a house. I have fucking bills. I can't take time off. I can't just, you know, like, that whole, like, always be ready. Yeah, sure. That's for the fucking 23-year-old who has the energy to fucking train and work and be here, be there, and have some slut pay all his bills. You know, that's not my life. You know, I got to pay my fucking bills. And, you know, like, I can't always be fucking ready. And not to mention, like we just said, 41. When you said that you haven't been into a MMA gym in some odd years. 11 years. Yeah. When's the last time you went to the gym? When's the last time you just some iron?
Go to the gym every day. I'm in the gym every morning. I transitioned away from MMA. I went to competitive strongman for a little while.
Yep.
Now I just do powerlifting and shit just for fun. Competing. It's hard to find strongman competitions that aren't just CrossFit anymore.
Yeah, no.
I'm not built for cardio.
Fuck no. Fuck no. That's why I'm built for Bare-Knuckle. That's why I'm built for Bare-Knuckle. I'm not built for cardio either.
Yeah.
2-minute rounds are my shit. No, I know what you're saying. Like, for me, so when I started fighting, I went through pandemic. I was powerlifting. I got up to like 290, 295 pounds. I was huge. I was benching 500 pounds consistently. But I was that slow and bulky guy. And you know, when I pandemic ended, I was like, oh, I'm seeing all these guys like getting black belts who started training after me. I'm still running a fucking blue belt. I'm like, I'm gonna go train. I'm just gonna go hit the mats, you know, do jiu-jitsu. Fuck fighting. At that point in time, I hadn't fought in almost 8 years. And so I trained, and it was like day number 2. My coach was like, hey, you got gloves? I'm like, no. Sorry. I got a phone call. I'm like, nah, I don't got gloves. He's like, oh, I got gloves. You got a mouthpiece? I'm like, nope, don't got a mouthpiece. He's like, fuck. I need someone to spar with Frank Mir. And I'm like, that's kind of a cool opportunity. I'd like to
That's for
spar
sure
with
a cool
Frank Mir.
opportunity.
And I'm like, will he be here tomorrow? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll bring my shit tomorrow. So as much as I was like, I don't want to do it, I ended up doing it. And then at that point in time, that was when Frank was trying to get a bare-knuckle fight. And he, you know, I realistically speaking, purse-wise, like he wanted way more money probably. Like I don't know the ins and outs. I just think that he probably wanted way more money than they were willing to pay him. It never came to anything yet. He had his 2 fights for Triller. I was pretty much his main training partner for both of those camps.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it transitioned me. It made me go from doing MMA, or better yet, not doing anything from MMA, and then going just strict boxing. And you know, it helped me transition. But the crazy part, I guess, fucking long story running. After my first fight, I ended up, you know, hurting my ankle when I got knocked out, and I took like 5 months off. Me and my coach got together. When I was getting ready for that first fight, the closest I could get my elbows together were like here. Like I was that big, bulky fucking, I can't do nothing. So when I was
barrel chest, couldn't get in.
Yeah, so like if I covered a jab, it was this. It was just like a fucking rhino. Like one hand, like 2 hands couldn't do it. So, you know, we got back together, and it was like, he was like, all right, give me, you know, 1-2 cover. And I'm like, boom, boom, covered. And we both just froze. And we're like, both of us, like, what the fuck was that? He's like, you just touched your forearms together. I'm like, I know. I haven't done that in like 7 years. And so, you know, it was literally that day when I realized, like, when I work out, I put on mass, I put on size, like you know, so like I don't really, I mean, since my Greg Hardy fight last year, I have not lifted 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, no, I haven't, because if I lift, then all of a sudden that's going to trigger, and I'm just going to start lifting again. And then I'm gonna put on size, and I'm gonna be slow again, and I'm gonna be bulky again. Like I don't want to go back to transitioning to weight training until I'm just done with it and can.
So you got that mentality similar to myself, where it's full clip or nothing at all. If I'm gonna lift, I'm gonna lift. If I'm gonna be doing jiu-jitsu and grappling, that's gonna be my thing. Whenever I fought, I never touched weights. Kettlebells.
Yeah.
I did kettlebells and resistance bands. It's everything I touched. Body weight and throwing people.
Right, exactly. And you know, that helps. And it's weird because, like, for some reason in the past like 2 weeks, I've had 3 different people talk to me about, well, how do I, you know, I'm training, I'm getting into this, I'm doing this, but like, how do I put on size? How do I work out and be strong at the same time? And I'm like, it's hard. It's hard. Like even again, like me coming out of pandemic, I was working out like fucking crazy daily. And I started doing jiu-jitsu again, and I couldn't train legs in the morning and then work out in the evening and not cramp up like fucking crazy and die. You know what I mean?
Flexibility is key. Yeah. That's how you know we're both old. We're over here trying to read this.
Right? I mean, I am not a flexible person at all. Never have been.
And I had a period of time, probably 2007 2008 ish, where I could throw a head kick. That was my window. That's where I had that flexibility, and that shit left probably late 2008. I couldn't get it anymore.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I could still pull off a head kick right now. Might hurt, but
yeah, I'm gonna hurt something if I try.
yeah, but I can still I can still do it. It's still doable. I like going into the bars where they have the punching machines, and you just like you're hitting it. You got a bunch of people around, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna fuck people up and kick it real fast. Then there's a fucking line of people that wave through. And they try to kick it, they fall on their face, they kick the machine, they just whiff, and it's fun because everybody just sits there and laughs. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good time.
Nothing better than people falling down as long as it ain't me.
Of course. Right.
So, you guys started MMA like around 07,
yep.
Up in Maine. What sparked your interest in MMA? What made you want to get into combat sports?
It's funny. I was 2 years. I was coaching football, so I went and I played football for the University of Maine. I was football all through, everything, and I was coaching some high school kids, and I can't remember what season it was. But I want to say it was like that first heavyweight season, and they did the tryouts for Ultimate Fighter in Boston. And there was a few kids on the team. They're like, "Hey, you should go." And I'm like, "Guys, I don't train. I don't do nothing." They're like, that doesn't matter. They're like, "You don't do anything, but you'll fuck everybody up. Like you have a natural athleticism, a talent. Like you could not know what you're doing and still win a lot of fights." And I'm like, "True, but I'm not going to make a fool of myself." And, that kind of started a little bit of like the pebble. And then my coach ended up moving in. He was working at a bar next to me. And their gym, it was always open in the evenings. I worked most nights. It really just wasn't helpful. And it sucked because, so my coach, Jay Jack is my old coach. Straight edge, And I knew that, so I would be out, hanging out, drinking, obviously, and I'd see him and I'd be like, oh, tighten up, straighten up, and try to have a fucking conscious conversation with him, knowing damn well he knew I was hammered, but whatever. But I just told him, I'm like, the day you do, you open at noon, and you have daytime classes, I'm like, that's the day, that's when I'll sign up. And a few months went by, and he came over to my bar and was like, "Hey, we're going to start doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, jiu-jitsu at noon, open gym from 1 o'clock on." And I'm like, "Cool, awesome." And I literally signed up and just started from there, up until I think even a while after I fought for my first fight. Why is there more kicking in the punching machine?
You got it banned.
I said, "No, I don't know. Ask the people in power." But what was I saying? Fucking
jiu-jitsu at noon, open mat, 1 o'clock
yeah. So but no, I started training. I started fucking, doing it. And, I know what I was going to say is that I trained for about 9 months, did my first jiu-jitsu competition, actually my only jiu-jitsu competition. Cause there's people that they'll perform real well at a gym, but the moment they're put in the real scenario, they fucking shit down their leg, shoot themselves, they just don't do well. And, I didn't realize initially when I signed up to this tournament, my coach was kind of testing me. Went through, I won the white belt division, smoked everybody. And afterwards, he's like, "Hey, they're going to do amateur fights. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm interested." Like obviously, up until then, and again a few years later, I was the only fighter he allowed to fight without a blue belt. Which, to be honest, I like it. I like, because I mean, we all know the consistency and dedication it takes to get a blue belt. You're there, and the problem is that people, as soon as they get their blue belts, they tend to disappear. But if you take a fighter and they get their blue belt, the next level of achievement is being able to fight. So, it works for those people. The people who aren't going to fight, they still kind of drop off a little bit after they get their blue belt. But, yeah, like, I I worked in the bars. I'd been in several fist fights. Like, not to mention, like, I had athleticism and I had a good understanding of the basics of jiu-jitsu because, my school was a jiu-jitsu dominant school. They weren't about to sit there and let anybody roll in there who was about to get arm barred or triangled, from the bar, that you're not going to be embarrassment to the name. So they just fucking, but it was cool. Like I really appreciated it. And the funny, so I got like a second round TKO, and the best part is I'm in the side and I'm just like over in the corners bouncing. My coach just puts his hands on my shoulders like, hey, there's nobody else. We're done for the day. And I'm like, no, I'm not done. Bring somebody else out here. I want to fucking keep going. Like, fuck this. I'm still going. Bring out somebody else. Who's next? Like, fucking Goldberg. Who's next? And he's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. I'm like, I know it doesn't work like that, but I don't want to stop. Yeah. So, and he even said, he's like, don't chase the dragon. He goes, unless you fucking make it to the UFC and you have that victory, he's like, it's very hard to beat the feeling of your first, MMA victory or your first fight victory, What is true,
Yeah.
I think the only time I've gotten close to that is beating Hardy.
That look of joy on your face whenever you slept him was so fantastic.
Yeah, it meant a lot, because it was just one of those things where, leading up to it, he just, I've said a million times, he showed me absolutely, I mean, as a person, he showed me respect, but as an athlete, he did not think I was going to come anywhere near touching him. He was looking past me. He was looking to the potential Rothwell fight. He was looking to whoever the fuck BKFC was going to line him up with. I was just that can. And, leading up to, yeah, right.
Yeah, you got they get in the mat and shit down their face.
Yeah. So, but I didn't want to give off. I didn't want to do anything to create extra animosity or get him fired up because I was trying to let him sleep on me, let him sleep and let him not care about me. And then even my manager was like, "Oh, you should do something during weigh-ins," but I'm like, I don't want to. I want to keep everything super cordial so that he just continues to sleep on me. Because if I do something, his mood's gonna change. So I'm just like, nah, just look past me, bro. Look past me because I'm going to knock you out.
I think that's one of those things that comes with age. You get that wisdom to read the room and be like, I'm not going to antagonize him. I'm just going to knock him out.
Right. Exactly. Why antagonize him? Not saying poke a bear. I mean, I wouldn't give him credit being a bear, but why poke something and make it that much more irritable towards me and change, the demeanor? I already knew he doesn't like to be touched. I already knew I was coming out on the bell swinging hard. That was determined weeks ahead of time. Let him sleep. Because if I pissed him off or done something to make him more aggro, chances are good that he's going to come off the line on the bell forward or do something to alter my plan. So I was like, no, I'm gonna let him sleep. I'm gonna let him just relax and just, put in my game plan. And which worked.
Yeah, it definitely did. And that's one of those things, you mentioned about UFC feeling a little dated and stale now. BKFC feeling so exciting. I think it really is coming off the scratch, coming off the line, starting those fights 30 inches apart from each other. There's no feeling out process. It's, I talk about this often. Whenever I fought, my coach always told me, be first, be first, be first. Every guy I ever cornered, that was the last thing I said, be first. And you always have someone trying to feel it out. And BKFC, you damn well better be first.
Hey, like for my first fight, like it's funny because my pre-fight interviews, all that, I'm like, gotta be first, gotta set the tone, all that shit. Coming off of an 8-year layoff, I had ring rust, I had like a whole lot of other shit, and I just started off slow. Everything I said didn't, I didn't put it to work, and it shows. The best way to describe that first fight was like it was an out-of-body experience. It was like I was back here watching myself fight, going, "What are you doing?" Like almost like I had a remote control, being like, "No, do this," and I'm not doing it at all. So like it was a totally different scenario for me.
It's funny that you use that reference because I know whenever I was fighting, I would use that reference about sometimes in the gym where you had that really good sparring session. You almost feel like you watched yourself have it. And then Donald Cerrone said that. I can't remember who he fought, but he landed that beautiful combination.
Oh, yeah, the one
used for
that's always on replay.
Yeah. And he said that he felt like he watched himself do that combination. So he felt like he was watching that fight on screen. I think that's whenever you get that perfect flow in a combat sport, whether it be the perfect negative flow or the perfect positive flow.
I was saying that definitely wasn't my perfect flow. That was a bad flow for me. But yeah.
My first fight I ever had was a situation where I got myself in way over my head. I had no idea what I booked me and my buddy up for. And our coach didn't want us to fight. You guys are going to do it. I'll support you. But, now is not the time for either of you. But this is what you want. Your heart's set on it. Let's go. I booked it, man. We went into a sold-out arena in Columbus, Ohio. And I thought I was doing some little small-scale shit. Nope. I was overwhelmed by the experience and everything. I was not ready to be the man in the arena. And I felt like I watched myself get my ass whooped. That's what happened.
I fought in Ohio one time. Kind of.
You're the guy who beat my ass. This whole thing.
No. I lost. No, we fought in Cleveland at the Armory.
Yeah. Was it one of the NAAFS events?
Yes. Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever warmed up in a fucking firing range with lead on the goddamn floor?
Yeah. That's it. That's the Armory, man.
Nobody told me I had to warm up in my fucking DCs. Like I didn't have shoes. Like I was like, oh, barefoot, like you're fighting MMA. I had to literally warm up wearing DCs.
Yeah.
That you couldn't lace up because they just weren't laceable. And, like just everything about that whole entire event was just so thrown off from the start. Like, like nothing ran smooth. Then right down to fucking, I got knocked the fuck out. And it was funny because what was Boss Rutan's show on like satellite? It was like World MMA or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And they were like reviewing just like whatever happened on the weekend. And he did actually a cut up of my fight. And he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I get knocked down. And he was like, oh, yeah, this should be over. Well, why isn't the ref stopping it? Well, the ref should be stopping this anytime now. Wow, this guy really is not responding. Like, even Boss Rutan said like a bunch of comments. Like, I counted 27 elbows, non-defended, while I was on the bottom. Like,
that's that early 2000s Ohio MMA experience. My first fight was 23 strikes to the back of the head. The ref never did anything. 23. I was buried into the dude's chest. He was so much bigger than me. I was way smaller than this back then. And I'm like, the ref's gonna stand me up. If I just stay like this, he'll stand it up, and it'll be better. Nah, 23 shots to the back of the head. He finally stood us up, and I was so rocked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was completely fucked up. Like I just, like it was funny. So my friend had flown in from New York, and he's like, "How much tickets?" And I'm like, "Fuck that!" I go, "Pay $25, get a corners license." So he does it, and he helped out my coach, like carrying out the bucket and all those other things, and it was cool because he got to hang out with me backstage. But he was telling me afterwards, we were in the ring, and I just walked up to him, I'm like, "Where are we?" He's like, "What?" And I go, "Where are we?" And he's like, "Cleveland, Ohio." And I'm like, "What's the date?" And he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I go, "They're going to ask me these questions." And I guess I turned around and there was the doctors right there. They're like, "Hey, do you know where you are?" And I'm like, Ohio? And they're like, "Yeah, do you know the date?" My buddy was down on his hands and knees behind me, tying his shoes, like, "February 7th, like whispering it to me. And I'm like, "February 7th. I totally bullshit. I got, I said, I guess 27 non-defended elbows to the face. And I didn't even get a fucking suspension. They cleared me like, "You're good." I'm like, "You're idiots." Okay. All I know is that it was bad. All I know is 30 minutes later, I came to in the locker room. I was dressed. I had my wedding ring on. I was like, I just looked down. I looked at my coach. I'm like, "So I lost, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, welcome back." I was out of it.
Man, I tell you what, that was Ohio's MMA for a long. It was the Wild Wild West.
Damn.
It was, man, so much crazy shit. Dude I trained with had a fight, and man, he was on Dream Street. He left he got rocked bad, and he left the cage side. He went back to what would have been the locker room, but this shit was outside.
You mean
we lost
the basement? The basement, the gun range.
He wandered off.
Okay.
Me and my wife just popped up in our comments saying hi to us. Me and my wife found him wandering around these fairgrounds in his fight shorts, hands still taped up. Like, you gotta go to the doctor. Like,
wow.
Where the hell have you been, man?
Damn. No, my last MMA fight, I got dropped hard. Fucking ton of bricks. And that fight, I lost 3, maybe 4 hours of what I call cognitive consciousness. I was there, I was talking to people, but everybody knew I wasn't there. And I came to, I was in the car ride home with my mom, and I'm just like, "Where's my paycheck?" And she's like, "Your left pocket." And I'm like, "So I probably asked that a few times, huh?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Don't worry, I won't ask anymore." But I wasn't even the main event. There was 3 or 4 fights after mine. Even my teammate had a 5-round fucking title fight. And I sat there at ringside watching the entire thing, apparently. Zero recollection of the entire fight. But everybody who knew, they were just following me, being like, "Yeah, Josh isn't right. There's something wrong." And even my opponent, I guess, was 10 to 20 feet behind me. He didn't have family there. He had nobody there. He was just some guy from Florida. And all he was concerned about was my well-being. And he was just following around, just making sure I didn't trip and fall and smack my head. Super cool guy. And I wasn't aware of any of this shit until, a while later. When I was talking to everybody, they're like, "Yeah, that 1,000-mile stare when you're just looking through somebody?" That's what I had. I'm like, sorry.
And you know what always sucks? Or people tell you the stories back of those situations where you were mildly concussed, and you're sitting there trying to piece it together, trying to pretend you remember conversations you had, and you're like, "Man, I don't think I'm going to fix this damage to my brain. And this is I probably got to figure out getting my hands up a little bit better."
Right. But one thing I did learn though is, time off helps majorly. Like I said, I had a good 8-year gap between that fight and when I started doing Bare-Knuckle. And I started there was a few training sessions where I was telling my partner, I'm like, "Let's bang. I need to know that I can handle some damage, you know? And the cool thing was, one day I got rocked, and I took 2 steps back, took a knee, and I'm like, we're boxing, right? This is legal. And he's like, yeah, completely. I'm like, cool. I'm going to get my wits about me. And then I came up, and I'm like, cool, ready to roll. Like, it was good. And then that, as most everybody's seen, that one knockout that I got laid out in my first fight, I didn't get a concussion somehow. You know, like, I had the fight happened. I got knocked the fuck out. I'm up in the stands. I'm watching it on my phone. I'm like, there is no way I do not have a concussion right now because I got fucking lit up. So at the end of the fight, I went down, talked to the doctor because everybody had to go ringside to get your paycheck. The doctor said, I'm like, yo, there is no way I'm not concussed. And he's like, you're good. You passed all the medicals. I'm like, bullshit. I'm like, I saw the fight. Like, I got fucking rocked. And he's like, all right. He busts out the flashlight, does the shit, do the note. He's like, you're good. I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh, I guess like fucking time off actually does, help your brain heal. 8 years from away from getting smashed on did a lot of good for my head because like I can actually take a punch again.
Yeah. I think the brain does have an ability to kind of repair and you rebuild that durability. I think it's like whenever you have that sub card for the gas station and you can like punch that thing, it's all bent up and tore up and be in your wallet and you can't tell if that's a punch mark or not. I think that's your knockout card. I think if you put it away for a little while, it doesn't get too beat up anymore. You still get a few more punches left before you get your free sub at the old folks' home, or whatever it may be.
At the geriatrics.
Yeah, because man, I'll tell you what, whenever I was fighting, I was in the gym all the time, and we didn't train smart. We didn't spar. We sparred real stupid. It was full clip every time we put gloves on. And I used to told my wife, I said, I think I walked around with post-concussion syndrome for like 2 straight years. I think I was just loopy. I was just like something.
You're talking CSP shit right there. Did you ever get abducted by aliens?
Man, maybe.
That's one of the best ones I love it. I love that story. He got so fucked up training, he blacked out for like 3-4 hours. He woke up in his house and he was like, "Well, the only explanation is I got abducted by aliens." I got punched in the face a bunch. That's not a good excuse. I got abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I love that was his answer. My wife in the comment, yeah, I don't remember shit from those days. Man, I don't. Dude, I run into people all the time who remember me from then, who were in the gym with me, and they're so happy to see me, and I will bullshit my way through it. We walk away, and my wife goes, do you remember that guy? I don't have a clue in the world. That's the first time I've met that man. She goes, you knew him? You hung out with him all the time.
So I got far more concussions and far more like brain trauma from football. Big time. Like, because I was an offensive lineman. I hit with my head every single snap. I got 1, if not 2 concussions every single season. It was just part of my shit. I can sit there and watch a movie. All right. So the very first X-Men, it took me watching it 4 times for me to actually get through it and go, holy fucking shit, I remember the whole movie. Like, I remember like the third or fourth time I watched it, and that scene when they're all doing the shit inside the fucking Statue of Liberty, I'm like, that's bullshit. This is like an editor, like a different cut, right? Because that sure as fuck wasn't what I watched a few months ago. They're like, no, it's always been there. And I'm like, I don't remember it. But like people will be like, oh, so-and-so, this movie, like, it was good. And I'm like, don't know. I know I watched it, have no clue what the fuck happens in it.
See, I really hope my wife is still watching so she knows it's not just a me problem. This is all those dudes who got punched in the head a few too many times in the gym. All the time. We've seen this movie. I've never seen this movie. We watch this show every week, and we're like, I've never seen this show. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was my old coach Jay. He would actually, like, it was funny because he used it as an excuse. Like, someone would come in and be like, "Hey, blah blah blah. My name's so and so." He's like, "Cool. Not gonna remember. I got punched in the face for a living." He just flat out be like, not going to remember your name. I get punched a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for a long time, I was using that for my excuse. I'm like, yeah, cool. If I don't remember that I get punched.
Yeah, it's my cop out for my poor penmanship. It's my cop out whenever I can't remember someone's name. When I don't know where my keys are.
My penmanship's so bad. When I was in college, I couldn't even read my own notes.
That's me. I still blame it on the concussions. At least I have an excuse.
Hey, look, I don't want to have to do this, but I realized I only got 3 minutes to put my liquor order in for one of my distributors.
Shit.
I got to cut this shit short because I just got a message saying I got 7 minutes.
Absolutely, man. No problem. You got anybody you need to shout out? You want to shout out your bar or anything? It's all you.
No Quarter Combat. Like those guys, No Quarters Combat. They're fucking putting it out there for me. They are going above and beyond to try to get me my flights, try to get me my sponsorships. They are taking care of shit for me. So those are the guys.
That's awesome, man. Well, Josh, absolutely fantastic conversation, man. I can't wait to see you back in the BKFC Squared Circle. Be happy to have you back on anytime.
Yeah, definitely. So. I'm good. Awesome. Thank you.
You take care. Have a great night.
You too. Later.
Everyone who checked us out, I appreciate you checking us out live. I appreciate everyone who donated to Tap Cancer. We were trying to raise $1,000 in the month of February. All the money raised does go right to the nonprofit. It's all for the fundraiser for Tap Cancer Out. Great charity, great fundraiser. So if you can donate anything, it's appreciated. And if you can't donate anything, hey, share our post, get some attention out there for them. That's appreciated. That was a great conversation with Josh Staydown Watson, BKFC heavyweight. We hope to see him on that KnuckleMania 4 card that is coming up in April. Everyone, thank you. We will be back later on in the week, certainly for Sunday for our weekend wrestling. Next Monday on February 12th, we will have Austin No Doubt Trout right here live on Instagram. If you didn't catch this whole interview, it will be up on Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, everywhere in just a little while. Thank you, everyone, for checking us out. Thank you for all the compliments. Thank you again to everyone who was able to donate to Tap Cancer Out. And we will be back later in the week, guys. Thank you. I'm out.